Hello wonderful people and welcome back to another Elden Ring PvP build. Today I would like to focus on my Faith build and I'd like to give you a bit my thought on Faith build overall that ended up being a big disappointment. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna pretend like everything's perfect, that build is wonderful and that Faith is the best type of build to invest in the game. So what do we have? I started with a Prophet build. We see a Vigor at 42, Mind 17, Endurance 18, Strength 16, 16 Dexterity. Those are the requirements that will allow me to wield a variety of weapons. Intelligence 7, that's the lowest you can have, Faith 33, and Arcane 11. Although this is usually my setup with about 40, a bit less than 40 faith, I would say. 38 faith. So why is the build a bit of a disappointment? So when you think about investing into a faith build, you know, you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna cast some crazy dragon spell, dragon lightning, I'm gonna be like you know, like sniping people with the frenzy burst and stuff like that. Where it turns out that the fate spells are pretty bad for most part. Most of the fate spells are quite terrible. I don't have all of them here, but I have a huge amount of spells that I can showcase. So in terms of damaging spells, yeah, most of them are close to unusable, or there is just much more better options in the game. So if we're thinking about the damaging spell, we think about the lightning spells, so Lightning Spear, Lightning Strike, Honed Bolt, Ancient Dragon Lightning, you know, all those, and also some Pyromancy, you know, although Catch Flame is the one saving grace, the really good one of them all. All of the other pyros are just too slow. They are very not generous in terms of tracking. So they're slow, they don't have much tracking, and they do an okay amount of damage, I would say. So why would you ever choose to go with any pyro fate damaging spells? And also Pest Thread could be also like, oh yeah, maybe Pest Thread is good. Well, it turns out Pest Thread is just very slow, very easy to dodge, and does pitiful damage. We also have Flame of Frenzy. It's like, if you do a frenzy oriented build, I see how those can be good. You know, you do some Flame of Frenzy, you use Vike Spears. But here on a just faith build, general faith build, trying to use general faith damaging spell, is just bad. The spells are just very bad. And why would you use, for example, we have a perfect example here with Honed Bolt. So Honed Bolt, that's a spell that basically the Astral War Thunderbolt. So they do an okay amount of damage, right? But I can also just put Thunderbolt on my spear. Much easier, much faster casting speed. Requires less FP and do about the same amount of damage. So why would you ever want to use a spell that's going to take more FP than an Astral Force that does the same amount of damage without too much investment, to be honest? And so that was a bit my disappointment on the Faith build, and it turns out that, yeah, Faith has something going for it. And the thing is, you can use a lot of spells to buff yourself, such as Golden Vow, which is increasing your defense and your attack. You have also Blessing Boon, which is giving you a huge amount of regen per second, so you regen your FP over time. You can also pair it with you know, the Blessed Dew Talisman that will get your MP, your HP faster. But is that it? Like, is that really the extent of what we can do? The problem also with using this is that they last a certain amount of time. I think it's about 1 minute to 30 seconds for each of those. So once they're gone, you know, they're gone. Like, what do you do when you run out of FP? Well, you don't have much to rely on. So let's talk about weapon now. So in terms of weapons, you have a couple of very faith-oriented weapons, such as the Cypher Pata, which is a fist weapon that has an abysmal range. Honestly, the range on that thing is super small. It's a fun weapon, it's a good weapon on close range. If you end up fighting your opponent in close range, it is very good, right? The Astral Force also is unblockable, so if you face someone that's just crouching on their shield, you can just use it. The Astral Force does a lot of damage, and is unblockable, and it's the same for the Coated Sword. So if we're looking at the Coated Sword here, I'm doubling power stancing the Coated Sword. Same, it has an Astral Force that does a good amount of damage, that only scales with faith, and that's unblockable. But those are the two weapons that are really faith oriented that I've found so far when you're at mid low level 60. The other weapon I'm using are just claymore, you know, power stancing spears, S-stock, double, you know, all those I can power stance. So power stance double S-stock or double falchion. So yeah, I'm just, depending on the situation, I will switch. Turns out that double curved sword is a really good option for melee range, and double spear is really strong at the moment. Like, it has tons of range, huge road catch potential, tons of damage, variety of move also that you can do. It's mostly poke around poke, so you can even go with the lance shield, you know, to have the counter attack damage. But my point that I'm going, as I'm showing you guys the weapon, is that why would you ever invest into a faith build when you can just do those things better on all those are infused sacred also, because that's the damage that scales with faith. So we have a little bit of physical damage, but most of our damage is holy based. The question is, why would you ever want to go more invest into a faith build when all of those can be done better on a dex build? And also same for the talisman. Like, what I ended up doing after all this research is really stacking up armor so that I can have much damage absorption, and having a lot of poise. Like, that's basically what it turns out to be. So if it's just to be like a bulky build, like, why not going strength? I guess the argument for being able to use Golden Vow and Blessing Boon is a good one, but I don't think it's enough, because those spells don't require too much faith investment. So you could go just for the minimal faith requirement. So if we're looking at it, so Golden Vow requires 25 and 24, so you can go just 25 faith and just invest all the rest into something else. But that's if you're going higher level. But so far, mid-level, really, faith build doesn't have too much going for it. It's a fun build. It's a fun build to play around. You can also, you know, kind of troll people with Wrath of God. You can use it. It does quite a good amount of damage. It goes through walls. It pushes people around, especially since you're stacking with poise. And about the same if you're using like Frenzied Bird. Frenzied Bird has its moment. It can do a lot of damage from people very far. Taking about 70% of their health sometimes if they're not aware they're fighting enemy. It's a great tool that you can use to damage people from afar. But compared to, like, my point again, coming back to the damaging oriented faith spell, is that you can do so much more on a sorcery build, on a magic build, magic intelligence build. So yeah, that's it. It really depends on your playstyle. If you like to buff yourself and rely on buffs to be strong and powerful, then go for it. But if you just like melee close range combat, go for a quality dex or even strength build. I think you get more bang out of your buck for that. Little word on the talisman we're using. So we have Great Jar Arsenal, which is raising a lot our equipment load. We have Radagon Seal, which is giving us a bump into our strength, dexterity, endurance, and vigor. You know, it's always a plus to have to be more bulky, even though you get more damage. I think the trade-off is well worth it. We have the Bull Goat's Talisman, which is raising by 33% our poise, and we have the Two-Finger Hell Room, which is raising our faith. And we're getting to close to 79 poise, so we have a lot of poise. We're quite poisey for this build. So yeah, you can definitely go double curved sword and trade with everybody. That's also a thing. We also try to mess around with the Sacred Brass Shield and having some parry with the golden parry, but you can put golden parry on any build. You don't need to go fade for that. Turns out that I don't really like the medium shield. I think you're much better off pairing with a small shield or a buckler if you're into pairing. Got a few parry here and there that works. And closing notes, a few closing notes. You can, like, the other weapon I found that I could use were Michaelan's sword, golden epitaph, black knife, blade of calling, but double dagger is really not very strong. I think if you go for for a blood build, maybe those were good, but the lack of range is really a problem, especially when you are facing multiple opponents. You know, that's why the double curve sword is quite strong, because if you're facing multiple opponents, you can spin around and get more range into them to damage them. Same for the double spear. Double stock is also fun to play around. It's a bit the same problem, is that it's very straightforward. It really damages people in a very small area, rather than having a wide range of area to deal with multiple people at the same time. We have the claymore for certain situation. All of our weapons on the top right there are all, besides the sacred spear, all infused with bloodhound. That way I mean, when I'm facing multiple people, if you face more than 2 to 3 people, you need bloodhound step. You know, it's a must-have for going around the map, for repositioning, for not getting caught into a blender. So what I do, let's say if I have, I don't know, if I have my spear with my double spear, you know, none of them have the bloodhound, I'm fighting, I'm doing some damage with that, then I'm switching to an S-stock, and then I'm out of here. I can reposition, get back my double S-stock, and such and such and such and such. So this is like my research so far for the level 60 Faith. All of our weapons are at plus 15. Little word on plus 15. So basically I messed up the build. I wanted to go to plus 12, but I ended up upgrading my Cyper Pata to plus 6. So then I had to go to plus 15, because plus 6 is the equivalent to plus 15, because the multiplier goes by 2.5. And so yeah, all of our weapons are at plus 7. With that range of level, you can have a lot of activity at the capital, at Altus Plateau, some activity at the Carian Royal Lucaria Academy, a lot of activity also in Khalid, a lot of stuff going on in Khalid, some activity also in the Mountain of the Giant if you want to invade over there, but really the capital is my main bread and butter. That's where I invade the most. Altus Plateau also when I want to change things up. You can also go to Mount Gelmir to have some activity over there, just to switch it up, you know, to see different things. And yeah, that's a bit my review on the Faith build. Just to be really clear with you guys, I've played a ton actually on this character. Like, how much did I play on it? I think I have like 10 hours. I mean, maybe 15-20 hours. I don't know, how many hours do I have? Can I see it? But I have a bunch of hours, because that's the only character that I've maxed out my rune arc. So we have 103 rune arc, so I killed a lot of people with this. Yeah, that's sure, we did kill a lot of people with that build. So I did experiment a lot, and I was very disappointed at the beginning, because the spells were just not good. I mean, just being very straightforward with you guys, the attack type of spells, the offensive type of spells from the Faith is just bad. It's just terrible compared to what the intelligence can do. Intelligence build are just better for damaging, I would say. And that will be it for my little review on the Faith build. Please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I answer to every comment. Yes, it's true. And I see you, my fellow Tarnished, very soon in the next video. Bye bye.